Hello, hello. My name is Suzanne Verton and I'm the founder of DiscoverChange. And welcome to Leading Conversations. I'm here today with Ingrid Fear. Ingrid, hello, how are you doing?
I'm so well. Hello, how are you?
I am so good. I'm really excited, especially to have you here today in Leading Conversations, because we've obviously met before and I know what a powerful speaker and coach and leadership facilitator you are. So thank you so much for taking part. Ingrid is here today in Leading Conversations to share some tools, ideas, and especially we have a really exciting theme, which is about nature, learning from nature within leadership. So I'm really excited to hear more about that. And what we really want to do is, especially today, share a little bit about your journey, what you actually do, and also some tips and tools and maybe some strategies as well to especially people, leaders who are also building their dream and their business. Because, well, Ingrid, we indeed met a good few months ago for the first time,
Yes.
interviewed you in another program and was truly inspired by everything that you're doing. And what a fantastic name, Fear.
Thank you.
If you don't mind just starting today and talking a little bit about what you actually do, and where is your amazing accent from as well?
Oh. Well, thanks for having me back. So I'm a coach and a leadership facilitator, and I've been doing that for goodness. Well, I've been in the training industry for over 20 years. And the accent is South African, which is the connection with nature. So, having grown up in the big wide world of barrenness in Namibia, I very quickly learned to connect with nature and understand the value of that it teaches us. So what I do is I bring themes of nature in my leadership programs, and I can promise you that we've got so much to learn from them. They connect, they communicate, they relate to each other all the time, and these are things that we are needing to do to be able to be great leaders. And you know what? They don't have egos.
I love that. I love that. And well, I can't wait to then hear a little bit later on for you to maybe share a couple, 2, 3 concrete tips on how us as leaders can connect more with nature, can really align and maybe, work on that a slightly more spiritual side, because sometimes as leaders, it's all about work harder. And I must admit, I've been often like, well, I haven't got time to rest, and actually recently, and it's great to hear that you want to take this nature into leadership and into obviously everybody's lives, not just leaders, but especially leaders who live stressful lives. Is sometimes a less is more is good to learn. And I would love to hear more about that. In what sort of way do you embed nature, talking about nature, into your work? And what can we leaders learn from that?
Look, how I embed it is through storytelling. And my favorite animal is that of the elephant. And I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go on safari, but there's something incredibly powerful and humbling about watching elephants. And, the matriarch is the leader. And what she does is she ensures that she passes on all the relevant information, so high communication, and she uses the various forms of communication to be able to connect with the various parts of the herd, depending on the distance that they are. So just like we have to think about what's the right form of communication, and in leadership that we cannot not over communicate. We always got to communicate. So they're doing that all the time. Equally, I think what we can really learn from them, and is a key message in anything that I do when I'm talking about nature and leadership, is their resilience to change. And how as we go through change in our lives and as time marches on, there are so many things that it's not okay to force against change. And so if we can just learn from the way that they adapt to change, because literally they will die if they don't adapt. So I always think about the lovely hippo who forgets to up sticks and go from his little water pool, you know, as the rains have stopped, and then gets stuck in the mud, so to speak, and dies. So we need, you know, part of my theme is to keep your eye on the horizon. It's okay to be surviving now, watching, you know, like that little book, you know, Who Ate My Cheese or Who Moved My Cheese, that book. It's the same thing, isn't it? You know, if we are not keeping our eye on the horizon like they do in nature, then we're not going to be able to follow the rain and follow where the goods are. And also, so from a relationship perspective, from team working, oh my God, can we learn from nature, wild dogs, and how they work so well to bring down their kill, so to speak, and how they keep the babies in the nest at home. It's not a nest, it's a den. But yeah, so those are the kinds of stories. It's always storytelling, and it aligns with the theme that we might be working with. So if it's teams, I'm probably going to use wild dog.
I love that. I love that. And I think it's because we watch a lot of documentaries, see how animals work in nature, and actually humans can work, people can work very well together. And actually as leaders sometimes, you know, and you talk about changing and adapting. And I think sometimes finding that balance of working alone, because many leaders, and I certainly, I've often been like this, you know, I'll do it myself, and, you know, they can be kind of this stubborn, and that can work to a certain extent. And you take ownership, you say, you know, no, I'm responsible, I'll look after it. However, actually achieving so much more when having a team, having a support network, and developing that communication. So it might be one thing to develop a team, however, to actually then communicate successfully with the team, with customers. Leaders are having a lot of fires and problems every day they have to put out. So how would you recommend for someone to de-stress a little bit? You know, you talk about loving nature. What do you do? I love what you do, and it's very inspiring. So maybe we could share some of that as well. De-stressing tips.
De-stressing tips, I can. And, you know, just to come back to your point, you know, it's not, whilst you're talking about leaders that are potentially working independently, that is okay. There is a time for that. But I guess what we are always looking for is to have a symbiotic relationship with ourselves, with our clients, with our customers, with our suppliers, etc. So it's all about looking at that, which is what nature does very, very well. They live well together. So what do I do to help de-stress, and what do I promote? You know, again, linking to leadership and staying in touch with nature. There's one word that really jumps out for me, and that is the word of listen. So to listen at a deep level. So how do I de-stress? I step into nature. I do it every single morning. I'm out there for a good hour, just reconnecting with life itself, myself, and with the day that I've got ahead. And how I do that is to literally focus on one or two little things. And this morning I was focusing on some really pink flowers and just watching them bloom, and, you know, bees buzzing around. So it's taking some time out at the beginning of the day for me is important. But equally, don't forget to step into nature during the day, because it's not difficult, even if you're in the city, you know, to step outside and just look up and listen to what's going on. Listen to the bird that's singing on the rooftop of the building that you're in. So it's just getting really centered. So that's definitely something that I promote. And what that does is just calm you down and break your thoughts so that you are more creative when you step back into the office. And something else, I love this little tip. If there's a moment in time during the day where you're really struggling and you just can't see wood for trees, so pardon the pun, it is a case of what I encourage people to do is to step outside with one question in their mind. So think about, what is the one thing that I would like an answer to, and just land that in your head, and then go for your walk. 5, 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever it might be. And as you go through your walk, just notice what you notice. And when you get back, have a little think about your question again, and you'll be very surprised about the answers that you have taken from nature itself.
I love
so just different perspective, really. Yeah. So I think the tips, sorry to interrupt you, the tips are really listen, connect, take time out to appreciate, and just be really grateful for the smallest bit of nature, and it helps with your creativity.
Thank you. Those are really, I love those points. And I think I have to say, only in the last couple of years, I've actually learned to really have this kind of centered approach. And actually, when people used to say, oh, meditation is good, and I thought that it's some kind of weird moves or whatever, but actually that's just breathing and enjoying. And I do that quite regularly myself outdoors now. And I love what you said there about having a question in mind, rather than sometimes busy minds, busy, isn't it? To, you know, there's a saying, you know, when you're at the beach, you want to go to the office, and when you're at the office, you want to go to the beach. And it's never quite really in the moment, but actually really appreciating those little things in life and the beauty of nature and beauty of the universe, which is so complex. And you talk there about the nature as well, and how the nature keeps evolving. But sometimes it's almost like the tree that keeps growing as far as it can. But sometimes people always don't do that, or many feel that they're not meeting their potential in life, you know, and in business especially. You know, one thing is starting a business, but another thing is actually growing it and really making the impact. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the types of things that you actually do in your business. I know that you do a range of different types of coaching, got really exciting programs and all kinds of support that you offer, and leadership development, as well as speaking. So tell me a little bit more about those, and you know, is there somewhere that, you know, someone could check it out, link maybe on your website or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a coach and a leadership facilitator, I run a number of different programs, and they are normally bespoke programs depending on whom I'm working with, whatever the company is. So a lot of the programs that I have run have been, in fact, some of the most successful programs for me. Possibly are they successful? If I really enjoyed them, and I've seen others really enjoy them.
I think that's success, definitely.
It's working with new leaders, people who are just being given that opportunity and are like rabbits in a headlight. They don't quite know where to go. They don't have the tools. They don't have the techniques. So working with people, creating programs over a period of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, depending on whom I'm working with, and making sure that not only do they have leadership skills and tools and techniques that they might not yet have come across, but I am a great believer in anybody who's about to lead to know themselves first. So know thyself, and sticking with authenticity, making sure that they recognize that it's okay to be themselves. So just like your tree example, you know, when you're starting a business, you're planting that little seed, you've got that tiny little tree growing, and eventually you're rooted to that space and having your branches out open wide. So the programs are very much personal and professional development, whether we are talking about can't think, purpose and values is something that I'm very keen to work with. Well-being, resilience, goals, just loads and loads and loads of different programs. And, you know, they all overlap in some way, but of course it does depend on where the companies are. So meet the people where you meet them, and then take them where they want to be is very much how I work.
Great. And
lots
that's
of
good
emotional
to hear,
intelligence
personalized as well. You say you might, so you would make sure that it's 3, 6, 12 months potentially, depending on the customer and where they are at in terms of their personal professional development. That's excellent. And especially I think recently personal development has been hugely growing. Sometimes the term, though, personal development, can be quite, you know, it's quite, I mean, I love that, but sometimes it can be quite vague. You know, what does it actually mean, personal development? You mentioned key things there: resilience, purpose, goals.
Well, personal development for me, it comes back to my values. You know, personal development for me is very much about personal growth, internal growth, and constant growth. again, coming back to nature, it's always evolving. And that's what personal development is about, is really exploring what's going on for you inside, and helping you become aware of what's going on outside, and managing your emotions so that you can...
Like the dog is noticing something exciting is going on outside right now.
Yeah, it's likely to be Postman Pat. I do apologize. Yeah,
that's okay. That's okay. We're all used to it. That's the beauty of working from home as well, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Exactly.
But it's interesting what you say about about personal development and forever growing and evolving. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about the start of your journey and why you actually started the business. You've got a really exciting, varied background. And you're really bringing it, you know, all of your kind of passion and key skill set into your business now. So what was it like before the business? You know, what was that journey like, and how did you come to start it and develop it to what it is now, Blue Inspiration?
Yeah, thanks for that. It is interesting. I have always wanted to have my own business, and I did many years ago have a outdoor travel business where I drove Land Rovers and took people on safaris. So
cool.
Yeah, and then I entered the training world and was employed. But what happened for me is, you know, it comes back to my values. Why did I start the business? Independence. I needed independence. I needed more flexibility for myself. I wanted adventure, and I wanted to be able to connect with my family globally more. And so for me, and this is not true for everybody, but for me, the restriction of being employed prevented me from being able to be me, my authentic self and my true self, and be able to grow. And I had been on a journey of personal development, and I just wanted to share and serve others. And that is why I started my business. It was like, how can I make this happen? How can I have all of this happen every day? And how can I help others reach their potential and grow as much as I felt that I had? So that's how I started. Goodness, and that goes back over 10 years ago. And I started as a coach, and then the leadership thing happened as a result of that. You know, again, you know, when starting business, you might have a vision for where you're going to go, and I certainly still have that same vision of enabling and empowering and changing so many people, should they choose to. And I started small, but as confidence grows, as those tree roots sort of embedded and the branches, there were more branches. So I've opened up into more leadership programs. Yeah, did I answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I love what you said there about going on the journey of personal development. And I had a very similar thing. You know, I always knew, and I was always a little bit of the annoying employee, if I may say, you know, why is this happening? We should do it this way. And I realized, you know, down the line that, you know, the only way I can do with this is following those values that you mentioned there. You mentioned earlier about helping people to find their values, align with their values. You recognize that freedom, adventure, independence. And when you don't have those values catered for, it's almost like we're suffocating, isn't it? It's like, I can't live life like this. And whatever it takes, I'm going to build the business. And sometimes when you go on that road, we don't know what's there. It's very uncertain, you know, and for everyone, the business journey is very different, you know, from the personal development to actually running a business. Because personal development, there's only so far sometimes you can develop yourself. I'm a bit of a personal development junkie, always reading or listening to this and that. But actually, it comes to a point when you start to take that to serving other people and helping them at a different level. So on that note, what do you enjoy the most about what you do? You know, you worked with a lot of different types of people, organizations, leaders. What do you enjoy the most?
What I enjoy the most is it's really it's relationships. It's really getting to know the people that I am working with to develop. And when you have that aha moment, you know what I'm talking about, when people say, oh my God, where have you been all my life? Everybody needs an Ingrid in their world, kind of thing. It's that where you just see the light bulb go on and they think, oh my God, I can see hope, I can see options, I can see a way forward from the stuckness that I'm in. Or if it's from a leadership program, it's that, wow, somebody believes in me. Somebody's actually invested time in me to enable me to grow. There's one particular person that jumps out as I'm saying this right now. It was part of a 12-month program, had grown up in an environment that certainly wouldn't have encouraged him to go and be his best. He was given a small opportunity. He applied himself and was put onto this program that I was running. And I will never forget the day that at the end of the program, we had like a graduation ceremony. And he stood up on stage in front of the people that had put him forward, in front of the whole company. There was over 100 people in that room. This is a guy that had never, ever applied himself. And he had tears in his eyes. He had all of us in tears because he was so grateful for that moment. And for me, you know, coming back to how I started the company, it was to serve and enable, and exactly what you're saying about personal development. You take yourself so far, and then it's about sharing and empowering others. And yeah, he has gone on to do amazing things. And so that is what fuels my fire. Those are my moments. And you generally have one in each cohort that shines. But, you know, for me, success is having more than one that really appreciates their opportunity and applies themselves.
I love that. And I just had goosebumps literally, because I love the moment when someone steps up and just knows that, you know, and this is what everyone can do, you know. And that moment was such a key moment for him. And for others, and the recognition. And I find that and I've actually worked with a lot of people maybe excluded from mainstream school, in prison environments, where people are really low in confidence. They've always been told off their whole life. They don't know what to do, but everybody has, literally, even in the prison environments. And I'm not going to go into that, but they have also very good intentions. And sometimes it needs that mentor, that person, and it's those words that you say, you know, that makes all the difference in just but they did it, and you enabled, facilitated that to happen.
And you know, Suzanne, that really comes back to what we were saying earlier about listening. And it's just that having intent whenever you are working or serving another, it's to really listen to it, to help him feel understood and feel connected, back to connectedness again. So, you know, leaders, what we certainly want people to do is to provide the highest commodity to anybody else, and that is time. A little bit of time goes a hell of a long way if you're listening at a deep level. So whether you're back into nature or whether you're a leader, it does not matter, but that is important. You know, you as a leader, you as your team, you as a company will go so far if you apply those two things.
I think you're so right. And if I could then maybe ask a little bit deeper, because what us, a lot of entrepreneurs and coaches, and, you know, we tend to say, you know, let's focus on the solutions, let's move forward. And we're very, very forward looking and always looking to learn and evolve. But sometimes then maybe some people, you know, I sometimes feel like that. We all have felt sometimes like that, but haven't had the support necessarily that we would have liked. Or maybe there has been moments in long time ago, things that have happened in people's lives that are still pulling them back. And I think I'd love to talk about you know, as sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to talk about these things, but if we can recognize sometimes what's holding us back. You know, I love your last name, Fear, and what a perfect last name. So let's talk about the fear, because I've seen you do great talks also about moving from sort of fear to freedom and coming out of that. So tell me a little bit more about that. What are the things that are holding people back? You know, everybody has the big vision. Well, not everybody necessarily, but a lot of people have a big vision. They want to be the best they can. They want to achieve great things.
Yeah.
What are those challenges?
Well, you know, and thank you for bringing that, because I sometimes forget that my surname is Fear, yet I use it. It's even one of my programs. I have a program called Fabulous Fear, which is all about overcoming your fears, you know. So, yeah, I think the thing to note is that fear is often made up by ourselves. We create our fears based on things that have happened, events in life kind of thing. They are not, you know, there are real fears in life, but most of them are made up. And so the things that I'm noticing that are holding people back at the moment is literally fear of failure. When you come to people that are starting up businesses, we have this vision, we have this dream, we believe we can achieve, etc., etc. And then there's this what if, because actually what I've done is put myself out there and I'm talking about it and everybody's now watching me. And so there's this fear of failure, but equally there is this fear of success, because how the hell will I handle myself? How will I cope? What will I do? Other fears that people have, you know, and this is one potentially that I experienced, was actually fear of sharing my business. Now that's, I'm just a bit revealing there, but I didn't want to work with others. I wanted to work on my own, because I was going to just do it for myself. So it was fear of being pulled in the wrong direction by others. So I wanted to go it alone so that I could follow my passion, my dream, which doesn't quite align with me talking about a symbiotic relationship, but there you go.
But that's where your key learning has been. And I think it's excellent, because I didn't necessarily used to do certain things in my training, but actually through the years we learn and then implement those ourselves. And I think that's the key thing for a lot of people, if I may say here, is that just because we have a certain type of leadership character and brand which we should build on, it doesn't mean that we can't learn new behaviors and even personalities. Sometimes we've got to put those hats on, don't we?
Exactly.
The different hats on.
Yeah. And yeah, so if you are going to do it the way I initially chose to go and do it alone, so to speak, you're so right. The number of hats that you have to wear often detracts you from, defocuses you from the thing that you dreamed about, because the back office is so busy, you know, so to speak. And whilst you have your idealistic, and it is now talking about me, had this idealistic view on building this business, that I could just do the things that I love. Let's not forget that there is other things that we need to be done as well. So, you know, really, if you're going to go into business, be mindful of the full spectrum. Go and talk to people. Become clear about what it's really about. Don't go into it blind, because there's a lot to learn, which is brilliant.
I think you're so right. And I think, you know, as internally, a lot of leaders feel like they are these independent, you know, people who need to work it out on their own. And that's great. Again, but it can go to the other extreme, and actually not wanting to collaborate, not wanting to outsource, not wanting to actually build a team. Many people say, well, I don't even call myself a leader. Even if we don't have a big team or team at all, you're still a leader, leading that. And sometimes just even that brings up beliefs. Well, that means that I'm this type of person, or salesperson. I've never been a good salesperson. And those beliefs come from somewhere, you know, that are ingrained, maybe the wrong types of beliefs that are preventing progress, like you said, and actually preventing you going from where you want to go. What types of beliefs could there be, and where do these beliefs come from?
Yeah. Oh God.
I mean, that's a big question.
I know it's
a complicated thing, but
look, the beliefs are going to come from your background and the events that have happened in your life, your society, the environment that you've grown up into, schools. You know, I still have a belief that I'm not good at maths because I was told I wasn't good, and so you know these. So guess what that does for me right now? You know, that belief holds me back when I have to do the accounts. You know, so what kind of beliefs do people have? I'm not good enough. I don't deserve. And other kind of beliefs are that, I'm just trying to think right now. The most of the beliefs that I've come across is the non-deserving, which is hitting your confidence, which is hitting your self-esteem. Imposter syndrome happens all the time. People think they're running around, you know, how is it that I'm in this role? You know, I'm going to get found out and get caught out any minute from now. Yeah, there are just so many. And I think, you know, when people come from that fixed mindset, it's something that just holds you back. Using the kind of language of it's not possible, it will never happen, it never happened to my family, so therefore why will it happen for me, kind of thing. So it's just helping people recognize that their background, the past and the present, do not equal the future, kind of thing, you know. So it's all your experience. If you've got enough belief in yourself, you can absolutely go for it. And it's switching whatever's holding you back into an enabling belief. Yeah.
I think that's really well said. And I heard once that, you know, when we say I can't, we should change that to I won't.
Yes.
Because we have that's quite a big difference. It becomes choice rather than I can't. My family's never had it, you know. I heard another great saying that all behavior is learned behavior. And I used to think, oh, you know, like you said, oh, my family never had this, so therefore I won't. And sometimes we actually have to take ourselves out of that environment, spend time. Not that there's anything, you know, wrong with the family. You know, they are on a different journey. And I think that's the key difference, is that when you feel like a leader, you want to take the next level. It's about actually surrounding yourself with people who have similar values, similar energies, that can encourage you, and like people like you, of course, who have helped people to move to the next level, see themselves in a new light. And all of those are just decisions sometimes to I can do this and I'm going to do this, and all of a sudden they become that person that they've always been, but that those beliefs sometimes haven't.
Yeah, and I think there's something about all of us accepting that the generation that has been before has experienced life differently, whatever that generation is. And so, you know, people who are wanting to start a business or grow a business today just need to recognize that their elders have not experienced life like they have. And so be mindful, not to, by all means take guidance and advice, etc., but be really, really, really mindful that your own view and your own understanding of the world that is ahead is going to be different to the generation before you. And I would also suggest that the way that you might need to navigate your business forward is going to be very different to that of anybody having navigated their business forward 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You know, life is just changing so quickly these days. So who's to say, you know, the branches of your tree might have oranges growing on one of them and apples on the other, because that is what change is about right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And people can create that change almost immediately in their lives, and that's the beauty. Sometimes we think it's going to take forever, I can't be bothered to start from the beginning. And actually we never start from the beginning. We've come this far. It's never starting it from the beginning and creating everything from scratch. It's starting from where you are, but with that decision that, hey, what you said there, I'm non-deserving, but now I deserve, and I will do these things. I will detach myself from those barriers that have been maybe holding me back, and move forward without the fear, or even with the fear. And I joined a great event once from Tony Robbins, and he's talked a lot about fear. Love Tony Robbins, great motivator. And he said, rather than removing the fear, because that won't happen, it's learning to dance with the fear, you know. Absolutely. Learning to dance and use it. Would you say?
Yeah. And it's the same thing with emotions. I've been doing quite a lot of work on well-being and mental health, and you know, it's working with the emotions that we receive and exploring them and recognizing them, not looking to delete them or put them away, because emotions are very much part of our lives. They are part of us being human. So it's, oh, I'm having a little bit of a, oh, or maybe I don't know if I should be doing this, or maybe self-doubting myself. That's okay. Just acknowledge it and then explore the emotion and think, what is it? What's really behind that? What is it that I'm afraid of? Is it now that I've stepped into fixed mindset, not going into my growth mindset, perhaps? Accepting it, exploring it, and then moving on. Work with it, because again, we are human, and the emotions are there to, they're there to signpost, signpost or highlight possible danger. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're in danger, but it's there to highlight possible danger. So work with it and understand it.
I love that. Highlight possible danger. So on that note, then, I mean, oh my goodness, I could ask you like 1,000 more questions, but I think we're running out of time a little bit. But before we finish, and thank you so much for taking part and sharing all these amazing ideas and tools. But you know, let's look at this very practically. Let's look at what can you recommend for anyone really, but especially a leader, you know, looking at going after their big vision, you know, doing the things that they've never done before, facing, you know, feeling the fear, but doing it anyway, kind of thing. But those are all great things to say. Believe in yourself and all these things. We hear it day in, day out, but let's make this really practical. So maybe you could give like 2 or 3 really concrete, practical, almost like a SMART target, maybe not quite that deep, but you know, something really like every day I could do this one little thing, and that's going to take me forward. That's going to make me a more balanced leader, and someone who can achieve really unlimited potential as we do have.
I mean, there are so many pieces of advice I could give, but I think it's been consistent. I think there is, look for consistency there, you know, look for the compound effect in your business. And so gain clarity about what it is that you want. Okay, really get to nuts and bolts. By all means, go and create the vision and have fun with the visualization, but look for the reality of that goal as well, and believe in it. Then I think there's, what can I do? Exactly what you just said. Go daily. What are my small gains every single day that I can make towards achieving my goal? For me, you're not going to have a business if you don't have relationships. So focus on building relationships with everybody and everything, and make that part of your day-to-day activities. It doesn't matter what's gone on, whatever your business is, make sure that you are looking to build relationships. So it's goals, visualization, consistency with your compound effect. So looking to grow tiny little bits each day. Look at those relationships, and then of course make sure that you review, and as I said earlier, keep your eye on the horizon, because you may need to change route, and know that that's okay to change route. And then don't forget to celebrate your success. Small wins every single day. Acknowledge the win every single day, because it's very, very easy to focus on what you didn't achieve that day. So, you know, definitely a practice of mine, you may have heard it, is I talk about my ta-da, and at the end of the day, I review what was great for today, and I don't create a to-do list for tomorrow, because those are my things that I didn't win at. I create a ta-da list, and I acknowledge the things that I've achieved. So at the end of today, you will be part of my ta-da.
Likewise. That's a great tip. I like that. I'm definitely going to use that. That's excellent. Thank you. And that's really, really nice and practical. And I think especially what you said there about consistency, taking consistent action every day, no matter how small. And maybe that's the posting or the text messages or the emails you said there about communication. So I think that could be a great little principle for everyone. Literally could only take 2 minutes sometimes to make progress in a lot of that. And especially what you mentioned there about nature, maybe just one last thing. How can we really what can we do in nature when we go out to the nature as leaders? Busy, you know, don't have the time. I said before, I don't have time to go for the walks. You know, I'll go for the walks after this is done. And then I realized that as long as I didn't go for the walks, these never got done. So what should we do as a final thing, just to embed more of nature into our lives as leaders?
I think it's a case of we are going through a lot of change in life, and I think be really, really mindful that nature has weathered the storms and has dealt with change constantly. So I'm going to encourage every single person that's listening to this to step into nature and think, what can I learn from nature? The storm that I'm in right now, or the storm that I'm potentially facing ahead of me, how can I use the wind? How can I use the sunshine? How can I use the leaves? What is it that I can use in nature to be able to, what can I take from it to propel myself forward? So I think really listen to nature, because it has the answers for you. It's been there for longer than us.
It certainly has. And I couldn't agree anymore. 100%. Love nature, everything that it brings, centers us. And that's really where we come from originally. So it's really what we need deep within, just as much, and getting away from that busyness of the everyday business, so to say. So fantastic. Thank you so much, Ingrid, for that. And thank you so much again for taking part in Leading Conversations. It's been great. So just as a final thing, if anyone wanted to check out maybe one of your upcoming, you've got quite a lot of events and talks and programs. So maybe if you could share your website.
Yes, of course, I'd love that. And thank you for having me. So just to keep things really simple, I think the best place for people to go is to go directly to my website, which, guess what, is www.ingridfear.co.uk. There you go. And all my contact details are there, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ingrid. Love it so much. And I'm sure that we'll be, we've got lots of projects coming up that we'll be collaborating as well. So thank you so much. I can't wait to see you soon again and hear about all the other adventures that you've been on. So
absolute pleasure, and thanks for having me here. Really, really loved talking with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.